Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape.
And JT from Ebike Escape.
And in this video, we're gonna be reviewing this Ebike e-mountain bike. This is the Wagons Hydra, so let's get into it.
Almost there. Maybe don't put that in there.
JT's never done a drop this big before.
And we're just gonna build up speed as we go and see what this thing gets to.
Yeah, we're good. All right, on the towee. Before we dig into all the specs about this electric bike, test out its top speed, and of course do some mountain biking with it.
Right?
If you are looking to purchase a Watt-Wagon, they've hooked us up with a 5% discount code. That will be linked in the description, and if you make a purchase, it helps support Ebike Escape, so thanks in advance. We will also include links to our electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page where we track all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. Also, this video is sponsored by Tannis, but more on them later. Now let's talk about the specs of the Wagons Hydra. Okay, we're gonna go through all of the components on the Wagons Hydra, but just to set the stage, how I view this electric bike, there's e-mountain bikes, and then you have the Wagons Hydra, and we'll talk about the power. But if you're comparing this to other e-mountain bikes, there's definitely some significant differences. That's really my takeaway, having ridden a handful of e-mountain bikes and then stepping on this beast. I think
Yes.
JT would agree.
I completely agree. It is nice. This is, carbon fiber frame, things like that. It really puts it on par with some of the more expensive e-mountain bikes that, say, some of the big box Treks, Specialized, and things like those offer. You're not having to pay that little bit extra of a premium you get for having the storefront. You get to buy direct to consumer, but that little bit extra money that you save gets to get turned into some higher end components and really makes this bike amazing and fun to ride.
And one thing that's unique about the Watt-Wagons is you can really customize them. So I will say that as spec'd, this bike is around $7,000 or so. We'll throw on the screen the base price of the Hydra. And they of course have other models I highly recommend you check out as well because they're all like super powered electric bikes.
Yeah.
But JT's, I think, going to walk through some of the key specs of how the bike is that Watt-Wagons sent us. Obviously, they sent us this bike for review, and as mountain bikers, we were super stoked to.
Super excited. And I feel like on this e-mountain bike, where you really have to start is in the heart, right at the motor. So we're gonna go down. So the motor setup on this bike is a Bafang M620. However, what sets it apart is that the CEO at Watt-Wagon is an engineer. So what he did was he took some of his knowledge and base and he makes a custom tuned controller for this motor. So another thing that's really nice too is if you have an M620 and you wanted to say, make it have this power capability, you can actually send in your M620 as well and they will modify it for a fee.
They're calling this the Archon controller.
Archon X1, yes.
Yep. And it peaks at...
It says 2,300 watts, and then it has some really cool power capabilities and adjustability outside of that. So starting up here at the front of the bike, the rims on the bike are Sunringle Duroc 40 rims with Sunringle hubs as well. And then they are wrapped in knobby nicks. And then the tire size on this is a 27.5 by 2.8. And the nice thing about this bike as well, being the customized, you could put fat tires on here, you can put 29-inch wheels on here. Watt-Wagon offers the entire gambit of wheel sizes for this bike. So moving up, we have the fork, which is the DVO Diamond E2. Coming over to the other side of the bike, the brakes on this bike are Magura MT5 4-piston brakes, along with Magura 203mm rotors. Coming up the bike to the cockpit, we have Pro Taper grips on some PMW handlebars held on by a Pro Taper stem. And then the drivetrain components on this bike are all Shimano Dior XT, 11-speed.
Okay, and let's just show briefly the display here. Go ahead and power the screen on. Again, Bafang screen. Now, funny story about the power of this electric bike. I just wanted to point it out as we're talking about the display here. Nice color LCD. Obviously, pedal assist up and down, as we have on many electric bikes, an info button that will give you odometer, max speed, and average speed, as well as trip. Spoiler alert on the max speed, be sure to stay tuned for our top speed test. Now, as I was riding this electric bike, I thought it was super powerful, and then JT started riding it, and we quickly realized that there's not just 5 levels of pedal assist. If you hold the pedal assist up button, it goes into sport mode, and there is 5 more. And in my opinion, you need to be a very experienced cyclist, have a lot of experience with e-bikes to go into the sport mode. It is dangerously powerful. You've been warned.
Ryan couldn't have said it any better himself. He wrote it in 1 through 5 in eco mode. I put it into sport mode, and just on level 1 on one of our close trails that I was riding it on, it was way more power than I was even capable of handling. So definitely be warned. It could get out of hand very quickly in sport mode. One of the big differences between this e-mountain bike and a lot of other mountain bikes, especially ones from Trek or Specialized or any of those, is going to be that it has the capability to have a throttle. And then some of you may not know what this lever is next to the throttle. This is a PMW dropper post lever. And so what this does is when it's depressed, it allows you to move the seat out of the way. Speaking of seat, we have a Physique Argo. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. And so here's an example of how it works. You push the lever down, seat goes up. You hold it down, and with your weight, you can just drop the seat right back down. Just gives you a whole lot more room to move around and get work and get down to the tire, stuff like that when you're mountain biking. And then moving down, we also have a DVO Topaz rear shock. And then coming down to the pedals, we have Crank Brothers Stamp 1 composite pedals. And then here's a closer look at the Shimano Dior XT rear derailleur, complete with clutch. This is an 11-speed Shimano rear cassette, goes from 11 to 42 teeth. And then here's a speed sensor up here. And then moving around to the other side, we have a matching 4-piston Magura MT5 rear disc, complete with 203 millimeter rear rotor and a threaded through axle.
And if you're spending $7,000 on an electric bike, you want it to fit you perfectly. And this is the size large that JT is sitting on here, and I'm 5'7", so with a 29-inch inseam. So this bike, the frame feels nice to me, but it definitely could use a little bit more standover height, so I should probably be on a size medium. But it is really nice that you can get this built in a small, medium, or large frame to accompany you. And as someone who's 6 feet tall, I would say this bike frame fits me perfectly. Feels very similar to my other non-electric mountain bike.
All right, and I think that pretty much wraps up the review. So Ryan, I'll see you on the trails. So we're here at Sullivan Bike Park, which is in our little town, is this awesome all downhill mountain bike park. So it has one uphill that you come up that you'll see me towing Ryan up here in a little bit. And then all the rest of the trails are all downhill. And we're gonna take you on a little ride, show you what this Watt Wagon can do. But before we get to that, we're gonna throw it to Tannis Armor, sponsor of today's video.
This video is sponsored by Tannis. We're really excited to have Tannis as our first sponsor here at E-Bike Escape. Getting flats on an e-bike can be especially difficult to fix, so why not help prevent them in the first place? Tannis Armor inserts are inserts that go inside your tire, providing 15 millimeters of protection at the base and 2 millimeters of protection on the sidewalls.
Tannis makes purchasing the liners super simple. Simply go to their website, type in your tire size, it spits out the liners you need. Don't forget the tubes. Then you can either install them at home by yourself or take them to your local trusted bike shop. While we do know there are many e-bike manufacturers that offer Tannis tire liners on their website, if you go directly to Tannis's website, we have negotiated a discount code for E-Bike Escape viewers. Discount code can be found in the description below.
Thanks to Tannis for sponsoring this video.
All right, now that we're back from the sponsor of today's video, let's jump to some riding footage. So I'm just gonna jump on a couple of these small trails. They're actually still doing a lot of work here and upgrading this park, which is really cool. So it's really nice to have such an awesome facility in our small town here. So as you can see here, I'm only in power mode 4 on this bike, but oh, look, here comes our first jump. All right, and yeah, this suspension just soaked up that jump like it was nothing. Just really nice to have. I don't know what the travel is on this. So like I said, we're gonna put it on the screen back before, but man, it is so plush, so nice, and then whew, this thing just powers up all these hills. Oh, here we go. We got our second jump real quick. That was the furthest I've ever jumped on a mountain bike. I bet. I didn't think I was gonna clear that. All right. And yeah, whew, that was a good jump too. Again, the plushness of the suspension, but in how light this bike is, man, it just goes without a freaking problem. Whew, all right, I cased that one just a little bit. So here, let's give this next one a try. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this thing, woohoo! It just goes down these hills. And then you just huck it into berms after that. It's so nice. You've got good, reliable brakes, really nice, good plush suspension, high-end components, ability to paint it whatever color you want and design it, and then it just is capable of taking on anything that you throw at it. All right, had a little bit too much speed coming there. That is one thing I will have to say that I'm not a big fan of right now on this bike, is that it doesn't have motor cutoffs. So you really have to be mindful and get used to where you're using your brakes, because it does not cut power into the turn. So you really gotta stop pedaling before to get it. So maybe a downhill park is not exactly what this bike is meant for, but whew, does it handle things, and it shouldn't. And man, is it a lot of fun. And again, not to say that the brakes on this bike are not capable of slowing it down, they just don't have motor cutoffs. So you have this 2300 watt controller that you could easily overpower the brakes with. Again, the lightness of this bike is super apparent as you just glide around, and just how easy it tosses back and forth. It's such a nice bike, especially if you're in the market for an e-mountain bike. Man, there's just the value proposition that this bike offers, from its battery size to its motor's power to the component list of things that you can do, and you can pick your own color, is just amazing. So, all right, I'm gonna go. This is the start of the uphill here at Sullivan. So I'm gonna go finish riding out to the woods, and then I'll wait for Ryan so I can give him a little tow back up to the top. Whoop.
All right, that trail was an absolute blast, and started coming uphill. I'm a little tired. I don't know about you.
It's okay. I've got the e-bike and we got a towie. Let's get into it.
All right, JT's gonna tow me up the hill. This is the towie. It's really meant for kids, but really anyone that you want to help up a steep trail. Kids Ride Shotgun also makes them as well. This is a great use case though for us right now, with one person riding an e-bike and one person not.
Absolutely.
You ready? Don't spray rocks at me now.
I can't promise anything.
Yeah, we're good. All right, on the towie. This makes Sylvan so much more fun when you don't have to do the hard work going up. He's in Eco 3, and I'm pedaling just a little bit, just to give it a little extra power. And that's really what the towie or the Kids Ride Shotgun is for. Helping your kids or whoever you're riding with just get a little extra boost.
Yeah, what's the weight rating on this bike?
Why don't you kick it up a notch here? There we go. I don't even need to pedal at all now. And really, JT wouldn't be needing to even pedal with that throttle, of course. No. You could just throttle both of us up the entire time.
I mean, I'm putting in super minimal effort and we're just going. So, it's a testament to the power of this thing.
Yeah. The Bafang Ultra is just insanely impressive. Suffice to say, if you want an e-mountain bike that won't let you down on anything, no matter where you live, no matter what trails you want to do, as long as you can tame the power and control the bike, just phenomenal. All right, well, I'm gonna get towed up to the hill. I think we can jump over to the top speed test. Let's see how fast the Watt Wagon can really go on flat ground. See what that Bafang M620 Bafang Ultra motor can do.
All right. And one last thing before we let you guys go, we are going to do a top speed test on this bike. Now, this is not something that we would recommend doing, but we know we're gonna get it down in the comments, as well as the fact that we just really gotta show you how powerful this bike is. So as you can see, I'm in mode 5 now, in sport mode. and I'm tucked all the way down for top aerodynamics. And so we're gonna go here and take off and see what happens. So I'm not providing much power here. I'm just spinning my legs and this bike just moves. So there's 32, 34, 36, 37. And I gotta start slowing down because this thing is just a beast. So I'm gonna turn right here and we'll go do this one more time in the highest gear now. Now we're just providing as much effort as we can. See what this thing's capable of. 36, 37, 38, 39, almost 40. Come on. My legs are moving. I'm providing a lot of power here. Woo, just couldn't hit 40. But man, 30s, mid 30s on this bike. Takes no pressure at all. No work. You just cruise right up to it. This thing is immensely powerful and just crazy to ride. All right. With that said, thanks Wagon for sending this out for bike for us to review.
I hope you enjoyed this review of the Wagons Hydra. Again, link in the description. Thanks to Wagons for making this review possible. Thanks to Tanis for sponsoring the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. JT's never done a drop this big before.
Oh, okay.
Nice.